Hey everyone and welcome. Imagine a place where freedom isn't a right, but a daily battle. Today, we're taking you into one of the most incredible stories of resistance, that of Zumbi dos Palmares, the man who dared to defy oppression and build a kingdom of hope. The saga of Zumbi dos Palmares is not merely a chapter in Brazilian history. It is an epic poem of defiance, freedom, and the unyielding spirit of resistance against the darkest currents of humanity. Born into the very heart of the storm, he rose to become the last and most revered leader of a colossal maroon republic, a kingdom carved out of the brutal reality of slavery, a beacon of hope blazing in the heart of colonial Brazil. Zumbi was born free in 1655, in the sprawling, enigmatic realm of Quilombo dos Palmares, a vast, self-governing confederation nestled deep within the dense forests and mountains of what is now the Brazilian state of Alagoas. Palmares, or the Palm Grove, was not a mere fugitive camp. It was a complex, sophisticated society, an African kingdom reborn on Brazilian soil. At its height, it comprised a network of over 11 settlements, macambos, housing a population estimated to be as large as 30,000, including not only escaped enslaved Africans but also indigenous peoples, caboclos, people of mixed indigenous and European descent, and even disaffected Portuguese settlers. This was a true multi-ethnic, multicultural state, bound by a shared desire for liberty. Yet, Zumbi's early life was marked by a cruel twist of fate. At the tender age of 6, in 1661, he was captured during a Portuguese military expedition against Palmares. He was delivered to a missionary, Father Antonio Melo, in Porto Calvo. There, he was baptized and given the Christian name Francisco. Under the priest's tutelage, young Zumbi learned Portuguese and Latin, absorbed the tenets of Catholicism, and gained a profound, albeit forced, understanding of the colonial world that sought to subjugate his people. He was raised within the very system that enslaved his brethren, a unique vantage point that would later inform his fierce resolve. But the call of freedom, the primal memory of Palmares, was too strong to be extinguished. At the age of 15, in 1670, Zumbi defied his captors. He escaped the mission, shed the name Francisco, and vanished into the dense Mata Atlantica, the Atlantic forest, making his perilous way back to his birthplace, the sanctuary of Palmares. He returned not as a child, but as a young man forged in two worlds, ready to reclaim his heritage. Upon his return, Zumbi swiftly proved himself a formidable warrior and a brilliant military strategist. He quickly rose through the ranks of Palmares' formidable fighting force, demonstrating an unparalleled mastery of guerrilla tactics, an intimate knowledge of the treacherous terrain, and a courage that bordered on the mythic. By his early 20s, he was a respected military leader, known for his physical prowess and cunning in battle. In 1675, he became the commander-in-chief of Palmares' armed forces, a position of immense power and responsibility within the Confederation. The very structure of Palmares was designed for resistance. Its settlements were often fortified with palisades, cercas, and hidden trails, making them notoriously difficult for colonial forces to penetrate. The inhabitants practiced a sophisticated form of agriculture, growing corn, beans, cassava, and other crops, supplementing their diet with hunting, fishing, and gathering. They also engaged in trade with nearby colonial settlements, creating an underground economy that fueled their survival and independence. In 1678, a pivotal moment arrived. Pedro de Almeida, the governor of the captaincy of Pernambuco, weary of the relentless, costly war against Palmares, offered a peace treaty to Gonga Zumba, Zumbi's uncle and the reigning king of Palmares. The offer was enticing: freedom for all runaways born within Palmares, recognition of their lands, and the right to trade, in exchange for submitting to Portuguese authority and agreeing to return newly escaped slaves. Gonga Zumba, seeking an end to the ceaseless conflict, leaned towards acceptance. But Zumbi, with his deep distrust of the Portuguese and his unyielding commitment to total liberation, vehemently rejected the compromise. For him, true freedom could not exist as long as a single African remained enslaved anywhere in Brazil. This ideological chasm led to a bitter power struggle. Zumbi, representing the more militant faction, challenged Gonga Zumba's kingship. The conflict culminated in Gonga Zumba's death, likely by poisoning, and Zumbi's ascension to the throne in 1680. He became the new king of Palmares, vowing to continue the armed resistance until absolute freedom was achieved. As king, Zumbi intensified the fight against Portuguese oppression. His determination and heroic efforts further amplified his legendary status among his people and instilled a new level of terror in the hearts of the colonists. Between 1680 and 1686, the Portuguese launched no less than 6 major expeditions against Palmares. Each one, despite significant cost to the colonial treasury and manpower, failed to break Zumbi's dominion. The Quilombo was a testament to his military genius, its defenses seemingly impenetrable, its warriors unyielding. Zumbi's leadership was characterized by a blend of fierce military strategy and profound spiritual conviction. He was seen by many of his followers, and indeed by enslaved people across Brazil, as a demigod, a figure possessed by the Orixás, African deities, particularly Ogum, the Orixa of war and iron. This belief in his supernatural strength and divine protection made him an almost invincible symbol of hope and resistance. His wife, Dandara dos Palmares, was herself a formidable warrior and strategist, fighting alongside him and embodying the fierce spirit of the women of Palmares. The kingdom flourished under Zumbi, a testament to the resilience and self-determination of a people who carved out their own sovereignty against overwhelming odds. They maintained their African traditions, languages, and spiritual practices, creating a vibrant new culture born of the diaspora. Palmares stood as a living, breathing refutation of the colonial system, a constant, irritating thorn in the side of Portuguese rule. The Portuguese crown, humiliated by decades of failure and facing mounting economic pressure, resolved to crush Palmares once and for all. In 1694, they launched their most massive, systematic assault to date. A formidable force of over 1,000 men, led by the renowned Bandeirantes, frontier explorers and slave hunters, Domingos Jorge Velho and Bernardo Vieira de Mello, and augmented by indigenous allies, converged on Palmares. They were equipped with heavy artillery, a weapon previously unheard of in the campaigns against the Quilombo. After a brutal, protracted siege lasting 42 days, the main settlement of Cerca do Macaco finally fell on February 6, 1694. The defenders, despite their heroic resistance, were no match for the overwhelming firepower of the Portuguese cannons. The town was battered, captured, and looted, its inhabitants slaughtered or recaptured. Zumbi, though wounded, managed to escape the final assault, disappearing once more into the dense wilderness. For nearly a year, Zumbi continued his desperate, guerrilla resistance, hunted relentlessly by Velho's forces. But the net was tightening. On November 20, 1695, betrayed by a former Quilombo member who had been captured and tortured, Zumbi was finally cornered. He was killed in battle, his legendary prowess unable to overcome overwhelming numbers. The Portuguese, desperate to extinguish the myth of Zumbi's immortality and to break the spirit of resistance, committed a barbaric act. Zumbi's body was mutilated, then his head was decapitated and preserved in salt, before being publicly displayed on a pike in the central square of Recife, the provincial capital. The gruesome spectacle was meant to be a terrifying warning, a chilling declaration that the struggle for freedom was over. Despite the horrific end to his life and the destruction of his physical kingdom, Zumbi dos Palmares could not be extinguished. The Portuguese had destroyed a Quilombo, but they had inadvertently created a legend. A symbol of resistance, Zumbi quickly became a potent symbol of black resistance, freedom, and justice throughout Brazil and beyond. His struggle resonated deeply with enslaved Africans, providing hope and inspiring countless acts of defiance for generations to come. National hero. Today, Zumbi is revered as a national hero in Brazil. His death on November 20th is commemorated annually as Dia da Consciência Negra, Black Consciousness Day, a powerful recognition of the contributions and struggles of Afro-Brazilians. Cultural icon. His story has permeated Brazilian culture, inspiring literature, music, theatre, and the martial art of capoeira, which is deeply rooted in the history of Quilombos. Many enslaved people believed his strength was derived from the Orixás, connecting his struggle to the spiritual traditions of Africa. The power of memory. The story of Palmares, a self-sustaining republic built by those who refused to be enslaved, stands as a monumental testament to human dignity and the capacity for self-governance in the face of unimaginable oppression. Zumbi dos Palmares was more than a chieftain or a king. He was a living embodiment of the defiant refusal to accept bondage. His kingdom, carved out of the heart of a brutal colonial system, was a testament to the enduring human longing for freedom. Though his body was desecrated, his head displayed, and his kingdom razed, Zumbi's spirit soared, becoming an immortal flame that continues to ignite the struggle for justice and equality, a perpetual reminder that Palmares, in spirit, never ended.